Okay, everybody. It is Leadership Thursday, which means that I am live again, usually with Troy Rolmier, but he is out in the community being a leader and volunteering with the youth today. So I have a very special guest. We have JJ Johnson with us.
Hi.
She is the owner and the CEO of Black Card Inc., which is a company that is all things marketing, branding, social media. She also is the host of a podcast, Free Game, and she's really been blossoming in her community as a leader over the last couple of years, both in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and online. So hi, JJ. Thank you so much for being here.
Jamie, thank you so much. I have to tell you, that was beautifully said. Thank you for that. And I love talking to you. Our conversations are awesome, so I can't wait to get to it. So
Yes, I'm so happy that you were able to join me. You were the first person I contacted, and I was stoked when you said yes. So
good, awesome. I'm excited.
yeah, and really, I want to guide this conversation with you as a business owner who has clients, who has employees, who is a leader in the community. Just what has really been coming up for you and for those around you, and what you've had to deal with as a leader over the last few months. I know it's changed a ton with everything that's forever evolving with COVID. And what has that been looking like for you?
Well, overall, it's been a very optimistic journey since kind of pivoting since COVID started.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed is a lot of the conversations and interactions kind of ebb and flow. They'll be up, they'll be down, they'll be up. So really the only thing that's been consistent is that it's inconsistent. So there's been lots of conversations about thought patterns, about anxiety. Overall, mental health, I think, has been one of the number one things as a leader that I've kind of seen reoccurring in conversation. And I've done the best I can to help manage that and help coach people. So I would say mental health, and then, being nimble and flexible in communicating. So
Yeah, I would say mental health is definitely, and emotional health is something that I've seen with my clients, my friends, myself. I was actually just telling a girlfriend, like last week I had a day and it was extremely emotional. And I was like, is there something wrong with me? And then the next day I was back at it, feeling positive again. And I was like, oh no, this is just the time we're in. Nothing's went wrong. This is how it is right now. We're managing all of it the best we can. And it's tough sometimes.
right.
So you essentially had to learn a whole new set of skills to handle this mental health. And I know you've been on such a personal development journey. Over how long would you say that you like really dove into the personal development world?
I'd say 2020. So the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
I was in a leadership course called Leaders of Tomorrow, and my graduation was around December. So that's
Nice.
evidently enough. And I learned a lot of skills in that. It was a 12-week program. It was really incredible. When you're a business owner, you don't think about, all you think about is your business, the nuts and bolts, the day-to-day stuff, but you don't really consider like your interactions with humans or conversations with a mom who has 2 kids and a husband, and she might be stressed out.
Right.
Those are things that you don't process initially when you're a business owner. So in my leadership class, it was really about interpersonal development. And then when you can get a sense and ground yourself in that, then you're able to coach and lead other people. So it really did start with like a solid foundation within myself. And then naturally, once I start seeing results, positive results, I can share those with the people that I'm closest to, which is my family and then my
Yeah.
team members. So
Yeah, that's so true. It's a part of leadership. And that's actually why Troy and I started our mastermind, and then we do this on Thursdays. We're always talking about how leaders are so ill-equipped, because a lot of times you become a leader because you did well in a position. And so then you move up the totem pole and then you lead other people, but they don't really equip you with the tools that you need for leadership. And the same for a business owner. You go into it with an intent, with a goal, and it really doesn't, those skills that you plan to put forward don't really totally encompass all of the relational pieces, all of the leadership pieces, all of the support that you're going to have to give to your clients and your employees.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to encourage the people that are in the chats because I'm keeping an eye on the chat. If you have
Yes.
questions, ask them, and then I'll see if we'll have a few minutes to answer them because
Yeah, we definitely will. Yeah, we love that. Interact with us. Yeah, so that's amazing. So you took the initiative, you took a leadership course at the end of 2019, and then you really dove into personal development for yourself, which of course we know when you work on yourself, it just improves and amplifies your skills that go outward to other people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
At first, when I'm like coaching my team members through difficult conversations, I kind of felt ill-equipped, like, am I able to give this type of advice? Am I deserving? Have I
Mm,
done enough work? But then I realized, like, if I get a gem or if I'm studying something and it just clicks with me, like, I almost feel like it's my duty to share that if it comes up in a conversation and it's important. So I would
yes.
encourage any leader out here that you are equipped. If you are a leader, then there's a purpose for it, and to really try and perfect that craft of leading people. Like, what does that mean to you? For me, leading
Yes.
people is more about creating an environment that we all can be happy in, we all can grow in, we all can learn in, and an environment that you can be yourself. That was like my number one thing, like hopping in and out of the corporate world. And it's a cliche thing like, oh, I don't fit in, I don't wear suits, things like that. But it was almost sometimes on a cultural level too,
Yeah.
where I felt very misunderstood, unheard. And I knew that when I created my own business, is that I wanted to make an environment that was totally different than that. Like, you look forward
Yes.
to coming in collaborating and communicating and creating like peaceful spaces. And work takes up so much of our time. Like, we should be spending that time in environments that are fruitful.
Yeah, that you can thrive in, that you can be yourself. I love that you said that. Actually, something that I wanted to include in your introduction was we've known each other for about 12 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been long.
And yeah, and it's so interesting because in those days, we were students, we were, working to make money while we were going through school. And I always felt like you were a leader of yourself, and that you had your own path, like you followed your own direction. And it's interesting to hear you say, like, you struggled with feeling like you felt in, because it seemed like you were so confident in it, and that might actually be a piece of it too. But I always admired that you were leading yourself before you even had the opportunity to really lead other individuals too.
Well, thank you so much for that compliment. I will tell you, when we were in school, like, some of the best times of my life, but it also was it was a very trying time. I had low self-esteem. I didn't really know who I was. So I was probably projecting who was deep down inside of me, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that. And I've heard that before. And I think that we need to start sharing these things with people, like as soon as we
Right.
see them. So I have a clear idea of like my reflection of myself. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
internally I felt small and, unequipped, but you saw something that I didn't see in myself, and
Yes.
um, I hope that my team members, I can do that for them too. I try my best to point out great things when I see them right away, but I really appreciate that. You met me at such a wild, fun time, and I'm glad we stayed in touch. We need to do a separate podcast episode of like our college vlog because
Yes.
it was fun. I'm sure everyone's college experience was fun, but yeah,
So
interesting.
so much fun. And I actually really appreciate that you said that about telling people right away. I've that's something that I've really strived to do for like maybe the last, I don't know, 4 to 5 years, but I wish that I had thought to do it earlier on. And that just comes from self-confidence as well. And like back then feeling doubtful that you should say something like that, which is so crazy. But I think that that makes a really good leader, somebody who can mirror for you what your strengths are, who can see them before you can, because you're right, you were probably you didn't recognize it, but I noticed it. And
Mhm.
so it's like, if we mirrored it for you, you could step into it more powerfully. And that's what a good leader does. So the fact that you recognize that is amazing. It shows that you have that quality for your team members and also your clients. Like that's really important when you have clients too, especially when you do a service for them like you do, where you are actually like projecting their image, their mission, their message out into the world, to be able to see that and acknowledge it and portray it for them.
Right, right. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's say, like deep down, you feel like you are called to lead people, but
Yeah.
you're just having a difficulty kind of pulling it out of yourself. Like, what would you suggest a person like that if they're struggling with something like that?
Yeah, I say I do truly believe that first the first like just kind of passage into it is to really do it for yourself and create that self leadership. So even though you might not feel fully equipped right now, the more you do it for yourself, the more you show up for yourself, the more you lead for yourself, the more you learn. And like you said, not being nervous to share it when it's applicable. Because if you have the opportunity to do it, you learn that for a reason. And it might just be to serve you, but it's probably, if you're called to be a leader, to serve other people as well.
Mhm.
And share that. We can easily, as humans, get caught in the trap of feeling like, well, we don't know enough. We're not doing it perfectly. Maybe we don't always even show up in the way of the skill that we want to teach right now. And so we aren't able to. We shouldn't do that. That's silly for us to do. And that's not true. If you know it, if you are working on embodying it, it means that you are able to share it. We are never going to be perfect. We're never going to know all the things. You know enough to share.
Right.
You know enough to help somebody else. And so also a part of that is building that trust within yourself. So you're able to do that in whatever way you can, lead in whatever way you can at first.
Right. I like that. I like that advice at all. And I think that is like the foundation of almost everything that we want, aspire to have. Happy marriage, happy children, flourishing business is a introspective, deep
Mm.
connection with who we are as an individual. Once you learn yourself, naturally everything else seems so much easier. You're less irritated, you're less just almost kind of emotional sometimes. You don't let things get under your skin. You know your triggers, you know your
Yeah.
history, you know
Yes.
the future. So I love that advice of getting yourself together first. I love that.
Yeah, and just connecting with yourself in my coaching business, that's one of the pillars for me is like when you're connected to yourself, it's easier for you to make, of course, aligned decisions and to bring people into your life that resonate with you and just to go forth as a leader, really. And so I love that you brought up that connection piece because connection with yourself, it allows you also to be more connected with other people, right?
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a meeting on Tuesday with another female marketing CEO,
Mhm.
Natalie from Click Rain.
Okay.
Shout out to her.
Mhm.
And we were talking about leadership and mental health.
Yes.
And I was like, well, she manages like 50 to 60 team members. So her team is large. And
Right.
I was like, how are you managing like anxiety, people's feelings about COVID, people's feelings about the future? And she's like, well, we always have a scheduled one-on-one every month with every team member. So I
Love it.
meet with every team member once a month. And she said, during this time, she goes, instead of 30 minutes with them, she goes, I'll give them, we'd have 45 minutes and I extend it out. And we really try and get to resolutions or really dig deep
Yes.
into things that they have. So she said, something as simple as extending a meeting and showing them, hey, I have the time for you. She said that that has been really helpful as far as her leadership capacity. And I thought that was a really great idea. Is
Yes.
first even having your team members know once a month, regardless of anything, you'll get to sit down with the top
Yeah.
and letting them know, hey, I have time to sit down and really dig deep into conversation. So that was one tip I wanted to share that she gave me, and I loved it.
I love it too. You have to think what message that sends to your team. If you are the top person and you are meeting, you have a team of 50 or 60 and you're meeting with them a half an hour a month, that's, up to 30 hours. Like
Mm-hmm.
that means that you are a priority. Who isn't going to feel more committed to their work and their mission and the company and the team if somebody is showing them in that way that you are a priority, right?
Right, right. I thought it was great. A
Yeah,
great.
and I think right now, and Troy and I did discuss this a little bit in the beginning of COVID about how communication, over communication is really necessary right now because people, like we said in the beginning, are dealing with so many ups and downs, an emotional roller coaster, mental health, things that we've never dealt with before and figuring things out that we've never had to figure out before in a big capacity, not just like something new and small, like a way of life,
Right,
right?
right.
And so if you provide extra time for them, if you have more of an open door, if you are communicating with them more and letting them communicate with you, that just builds such a wonderful relationship and is necessary right now because people are struggling, and whether it be emotionally, mentally, or even just like figuring out hours with their kids at home, right? Like how this is all going to work, over communication is really important. And I see the companies that are doing really well, and I see really good leaders, they're doing this right now.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and so I think that's important for everybody to note. And, let's say that you're not in a position of leadership within your company right now. That's true within your personal relationships as well.
Right. Um, I can't tell you how many almost uncomfortable conversations I've had even this week.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm trying to lead by example. And I had a heart to heart with a friend um, that I do business with, philanthropy things, nonprofit work. And I
Hmm.
just was like, listen, I'm not carrying things around with me anymore. I'm going to respectively tell you how I feel about a situation. And I hope that we can dialogue and come back on the outside of this. You know a little more about me, and I know a little more about you. And hopefully we can move forward and
Yeah.
still collaborate and work together. I work really closely with my CMO, and we have
Hmm.
difficult conversations constantly. Like, things that are just uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortable maybe having to
Yeah.
call somebody out, or not even that, just saying, hey, this is how this made me feel.
Yeah.
Instead of dragging it on for 2 work weeks and now productivity is down, and it becomes a huge issue. I'll be like, hey, can we talk? And they know when I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, they already know we're gonna have a tough conversation. But I would say 99% of the time, we're coming out on the other side feeling better, having a better
Yes.
understanding of each other, learning how to communicate to each other more effectively, because everyone's different and communicates different. It's just been such an explosive growth um,
Yes.
within what we're doing here at my business, and with my friends and family. It's unreal, but it starts with leading by example and having those tough conversations.
Yeah, and that is it, like that extra communication, those tough conversations. Like we have resistance around the tough conversations, which means that we should really put them as a priority because they're going to make the biggest difference, right?
I love that law of clarity, right? If it's
Mm-hmm.
equally as uncomfortable, then the outcome can be
Yes,
equally as great. So,
totally,
clarity, I love that.
totally. So for you right now, how is, for your clients, let's just say, like with their mental and their emotional health, like how does that look for interactions with you and how you're able to support and lead with them and where they're at right now?
Um, it has been challenging at times. Right
Yeah.
in April, May, when this COVID thing really started getting national attention, and businesses were closing and things like
Yeah.
that, I stood the chance of losing all of my clients, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, but we definitely, for the first 48 hours, were a little freaked out. And
Hmm.
then you get back grounded, you get back meditating, you get back breathing, you get back thinking clearly, and
Hmm.
start working within the circumstances instead of trying to pretend that they're not there.
Yes.
So, what we ended up doing when COVID initially started was we scheduled meetings with every single client we had.
Yes.
The meeting was, are you pivoting? How can we service you better? How can we help? What challenges are you foreseeing? And we literally mapped it out for each client that decided to stay with us, um,
Hmm.
and created a whole new strategy. So they didn't feel like they were kind of by themselves. They had an additional
Yes.
extension that was helping them. And just, I'm an optimistic person. I know that thinking negatively is harmful to me, my body, my spirit, my soul. So I don't think negative. So I've learned that skill when I'm having conversations with clients as well. Then I try to help them with that as well. Like,
Right.
okay, let's shift our perspective on this. What is the upside of this situation? Where's the opportunity? And just
Yes.
kind of staying positive in that moment when we could have very well just sat in the meeting and, like, had a negative perspective
Yeah.
on it, and it probably would have been totally different. But man, we did tons of re-strategizing. We built tons of e-commerce websites that
Yeah.
lasted 45 days to pivot. We did Zoom consultations. We were just coming up with whatever we could to help our clients through that 30-day window, 45-day window, where it was really, we were really unsure of what was going on. So
Yes.
it
And
was
that's
kind of the same tactic, but client and team member, same thing.
right. I mean, that's really what this time is all about. Not only did your business have to be fluid and pivot, it's like teaching those clients as well what they can do. And also, like, the way to do that is really through that perspective change that you're talking about. Like, what is the opportunity in this? Because truth be told, there's going to be tons of businesses that are going to be built out of this pandemic and out of this period and out of this whatever we're going to experience as economic difficulties. And like, there is opportunity in it. It's like, if you ask the right questions, your mind is powerful and it will come up with answers. It's
Right.
like, what is the opportunity here? As
Right.
opposed to, you know, are we going to work? Is this going to happen? Are we going to make it? Like, no, how are we going to make it? Right?
Right. What does it look like? What do we need to do? Luckily, my team and I are creative. So we
Yeah.
say we don't think out of the box. We think there is no box. So situations happen. That's kind of how we think about things, is there's an opportunity somewhere, we're going to fish it out and we're going to be okay, you know?
Yes. I love that. And like, that is the way that you keep going and you keep growing and you keep thriving, even through very, very difficult times.
Right.
And that's a great trait to teach your team as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my team is growing. I just launched a Academy of Bosses where we're going to mentor young ladies through
Yes.
entrepreneurship, through learning meditation and breath work, through self-love and things like that. So what
That's
advice
amazing,
do you
JJ.
have, thank you, for shifting leadership when you have more people around you that need kind of the equal amount of attention and deserve the equal amount? So do you have any tips for that?
I honestly think that my tip is in your answer right there. It's in your question. It's going back to basics and being like, okay, what cultivates really positive relationships and good work environment and allows these people to thrive, which is that communication that we spoke about. And just making sure that you are on a personal level, you know, where you have conversations with each of these people and figuring out how that can be a priority in your business. I know that you work long hours. I know that you have a lot to do. It's like taking the step back to look at the business instead of working in the business and seeing how you can make everything more efficient and more effective so you can free up that space for those new team members as well. And also, it's perspective too, just remembering that once you train them, once you develop a relationship with them, it's going to come back to you tenfold, right? Like, it's going to take an extra investment, it's going to take extra energy and effort in the beginning, but it's the important thing for the outcome of it. And once you do that, it's like, okay, this is temporary. And I know that once we have these great relationships and get everybody on track, they're going to be able to go forth and be connected to the culture of this company and make independent decisions, do independent things from being so aligned with our mission.
That's awesome. And I love that you brought up culture too, because that's just so important to me.
Yeah.
Cultivating a culture that, you know, just encourages people to expansion
Yes.
knowledge. That's like my core things. Like, if we can learn and if we can grow, then there's literally nothing we can't do.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I know culture is a big thing for you. I know it's something that Black Card Inc. is founded on. And I also think it's extremely important for those reasons, because when people are connected to that culture, and people literally work for certain companies for the culture itself, right? Like big companies like Google or whatever, they actually work because they love the culture. And so it's like, once you develop that, it's just the vibration of the company. They know the mission, they know how to make decisions that are aligned with that culture.
Right.
Just
So
makes things so much easier too.
does. I know building a culture is extremely difficult. But once you get there, then yeah, tenfold, like you
Yes.
said, just comes back in perpetuity.
Yes.
Do you think leadership is going to be harder moving forward into the future because of the climate of what's going on?
I think it's all in the way that you look at it. It's all the leaders that are going to thrive are going to be the ones that are looking at connection, communication, relationships. And that goes for with their clients and with their employees or their team members. And leaders that get in their heads and think doomsday or think that it's going to be more difficult now are going to have a harder time. And so I think that it's just going to be like this natural shift where we're going to see a lot of leaders rise and we're going to see a lot of them crumble. And I think that there's opportunity for people to want to be a part of even more powerful cultures. I think that, people are really taking a step back and looking at what they want to do with their life and with their time right now. So if you are a company that has an amazing culture that gives back, that really serves on a deep level for you, leadership won't be difficult then because those people will want to be on board with that. That's what I think.
I like that. I like that. And it is all about perspective. It really is.
Yeah, it is. So we only have 30 minutes today and we have to wrap this up soon. What should we leave off with? What do you think is the biggest component of leadership right now that you see?
I'm going to say bravery.
Mm.
I think that if you can be brave and have unwavering faith in who you are and what you're called to do,
Yes.
that you will rise, like you said, in the ranks of leadership. If you've put in the work to really reflect on yourself and really done the work to be a better person, then you will rise and be a great leader.
Yes.
And it's not like a 12-week program you can take. This is a journey of a lifetime. Like you have to be vigorously learning about yourself, learning new tactics on how to be a better person, how to communicate. And once you've gotten that foundation, being brave and knowing who you are and articulating it and showcasing it and being brave to come on Facebook Live and talk candidly, we have to be able to do that. So I would say the main component would be bravery.
I love that. Yeah, just bravery in how you show up and how you're willing to be and go forth in the world and believe too. Yeah, I think that's important and powerful. So thank you, JJ, for being here with me today. Can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I can always get your good vibes and energy, and you're so far away from me, so I appreciate that. But you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram, Twitter, all my social media is JJ the Disciple. And my business is Black Card Inc., all one word, and it's INC. So blackcardinc.com. You can follow us on Facebook. I really love relationships, so send me a message, okay?
She's tagged in this video, so connect with her, send her a message, friends, love it. So thank you, you guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You're the